I remember the moment it all changed. I was sitting at lunch when I saw my best friend whispering with someone I barely knew. They laughed and looked over at me, and my heart sank. I had this sinking feeling in my stomach, like a big, heavy rock. I thought we were a team, but I didn't know what they were talking about. It felt like a secret was growing between them, and I wasn't a part of it. When I found out that she had shared something I told her in confidence to help that other person, it hit me hard. It felt like an earthquake shaking everything I believed. About friendship. I wanted to scream and cry at the same time. How could she do that to me? I felt confused, like I didn't know what loyalty really meant anymore. I always thought true friendship was something special, a treasure to hold on to. Sarah and I'd what I believed was a perfect friendship. We'd fun memories, late-night talks, and wild adventures. We laughed a lot and trusted each other completely. I thought nothing could tear us apart. But one day, everything flipped. I walked into the cafe and saw Sarah with Mark. My heart dropped. It felt like someone had pulled the ground out from under me. Something was wrong. When I confronted her, her eyes told the whole story. The sadness there felt like a sharp knife to my heart. I thought we were best friends, I said, my voice shaking. I didn't want to hurt you, she replied, looking away. I had shared my dreams and fears with her. I'd opened my heart, and she'd chosen to lie. All those good times suddenly felt fake. I started to wonder if any of it was real or just a show. I turned to leave. I felt the pieces of our friendship breaking. I can't believe you did this, I whispered, fighting back tears. I'm sorry, she called after me, but it was too late. I realized I'd to look out for myself. The friendship I thought was perfect had shattered, leaving me feeling empty. Signs of discomfort show up in sneaky ways. I first noticed them the day I walked into the cafe and saw Sarah with Mark. Right away, I felt something off. Sarah had this fake smile plastered on her face, and Mark was sitting there, acting all cocky. It was like they were screaming, "Something's wrong," without saying a word. I spotted Sarah fidgeting, tapping her fingers on the table like she was trying to shake off a bad vibe. As I got closer, I saw her eyes flicking back and forth between Mark and me. She looked so tense, like her body was ready to run. When I leaned in to talk, her voice warbled. I could feel a wall building between us, even though we were side by side. It felt wrong. During our chat, she wouldn't look at me. Her eyes were everywhere but on my face. That's when I started to realize there was more behind her unease. It was like I could feel her discomfort hanging in the air, and my heart skipped a beat. I kept telling myself it was just nerves, but I deep down knew better. Every time she paused or switched topics, a knot tightened in my stomach. The signs were clear, tangled up in our friendship, but I refused to see them. Looking back, I know those moments were crucial. They were the early warnings of betrayal that I didn't want to hear. Sarah, are you okay? I finally asked, trying to break the tension. She glanced at Mark, then back at me, her face pale. Yeah, just tired, she said quickly, but her eyes told a different story. Mark smirked, leaning closer to her. Don't worry, I've got her covered, he said, his voice dripping with arrogance. I felt anger bubbling inside me. You don't need to protect her, Mark. She can speak for herself. Chill out, man. We're just having fun, he shot back. But it wasn't fun. It was a game, and I was losing. I could see it in Sarah's face. She was trapped, and I was too caught up in my feelings to save her. As I faced Sarah, the truth felt like a heavy weight pressing down on me. It was like I was sinking in a sea of hurt. I'd to speak up, but deep inside, I already feared what she'd say. The shocking truth that Sarah had betrayed me felt like a stab in the heart. Lily, I didn't want it to end like this, she said, her voice shaking. I saw the guilt on her face, and it made me furious. You don't get it. What don't I get? I fired back, my heart pounding. You've been lying to me. You're engaged. How could you pick him over our friendship? Her eyes filled with tears, but I felt no pity. Instead, I felt a deep sadness for the friend I thought I had. I thought I could have. Both, she whispered, barely making a sound. That hit hard. It showed just how selfish she was. I'd trusted her completely, and now she'd broken that trust. The friendship we had, once full of laughter and secrets, felt like a lie that left me empty. I stood up, feeling a strong need to leave. I couldn't stay here, trapped in this mess of betrayal. I'd to walk away, not just from Sarah, but from the life we once had together. Walking away from Sarah felt like tossing off a heavy backpack. The sting of betrayal lifted a bit, but the cold truth still stuck to me. I never thought I'd have to face my best friend about her lies, but here I was, staring down the reality of her betrayal. Trust issues hung over us like storm clouds, and I couldn't ignore them any longer. When I confronted Sarah, my heart raced with anger and hurt. "Why did you lie to me?" I demanded, my voice shaking. I needed answers, and I wanted her to feel the weight of what she'd done. Her voice trembled as she spoke, each word cutting deeper. She didn't just lie. She broke our trust like it was nothing. Each truth she spilled felt like a knife twisting in my heart. I knew I'd to protect myself. If I let her back in, I'd just open the door to more pain. The truth hit me hard. She cared more about her new boyfriend than about our friendship. "I won't be your second choice, Sarah," I shouted, feeling the fire in my chest. I needed to escape this toxic mess. I tried to keep my emotions locked away, but it felt like a storm was brewing inside me. Every day was a new wave of anger and sadness crashing down. I thought I was strong, but Sarah's betrayal cut deep. She was my best friend, and now she'd broken my trust. How could she lie so easily? Did our friendship mean nothing? The heartache was exhausting. I felt hurt not just by Sarah, but by my own feelings. I wanted to forgive her, but how could I trust someone who'd deceived me? Every time I thought of her with Mark, my stomach twisted into knots. I tried to distract myself, but the memories kept creeping back. I missed our laughter, but the sting of her betrayal was too fresh to ignore. I needed clarity, but all I felt was confusion. I knew I'd to decide, face my feelings or let them swallow me whole. Finally, I realized that walking away from both of them was the only way to find peace. I needed to heal, to learn to trust myself again before even thinking about trusting anyone else. "Sarah, I can't do this anymore," I said one day, my voice steady. "What do you mean? We can fix this," she replied, desperation in her eyes. "No, you broke my trust. I need to go." With that, I walked away, feeling a mix of fear and relief. It was time to put myself first. I had to think about our friendship. I asked myself hard questions. Was I blind to her lies? Did I ignore the warning signs? Anger surged inside me, but mostly I felt lost. Scream or cry, anything to let the pain out. Instead, I stepped back. I needed to find my truth in the mess she made. I picked up a journal and started writing. Each word helped me clear my mind. I realized I'd put my trust in the wrong place. My heart felt heavy, but also lighter. I was reclaiming my power, bit by bit. I learned that clarity doesn't happen overnight. It's about peeling away hurt and disappointment. I reminded myself it's okay to protect my heart. Setting boundaries means taking care of myself too. I was slowly learning to trust myself again. Clarity was a journey, and I was ready to take it. One day, I confronted Sarah. "Why did you do it?" I demanded, my voice steady. She smirked, her eyes cold. "You were too easy to manipulate." Those words hit me hard. I felt a mix of rage and sadness. "I won't be your pawn anymore," I declared. I could see the shock on her face. I was done being her victim. From that moment, I focused on myself. I cut ties with toxic people. Each step away from her felt like a breath of fresh air. I started to feel stronger. Clarity was coming, piece by piece, and I was ready to face whatever came next. I stood there, feeling like a storm was brewing inside me. Sarah had betrayed me, and it hurt more than I could say. "How could you do this?" I shouted, my heart racing. Anger and sadness mixed together, swirling like a tornado. She was someone I trusted, and now it felt like she'd ripped my heart out. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she replied, but the words fell flat. I couldn't believe her. All those secrets we shared. They felt like lies now. I turned away, my chest heavy with pain. I wanted to scream at her, to let her feel what I was feeling. But I knew that wouldn't help. It would only drag me down further. Days turned into weeks, and I realized this was going to take time. I needed to heal. I started hanging out with new friends, but the hurt from Sarah lingered like a shadow. Every laugh felt wrong, like I was pretending to be happy. "Are you okay?" one friend asked. I shrugged. "I'm fine." But I wasn't. I wanted to move on, but part of me was still stuck, replaying every moment with Sarah in my head. One day, I decided I couldn't keep living like this. I needed to confront her. "We need to talk," I texted, my hands shaking. When we met, I felt both nervous and angry. "Why did you betray me?" I demanded. "I was scared," she admitted, her eyes downcast. "I thought it was what I'd to do." "Scared? You hurt me," I shot back. "You didn't think about how I'd feel." Tears filled her eyes, but I wasn't ready to comfort her. I needed to be strong for myself. "I can't trust you anymore, Sarah," I said firmly. I walked away, feeling lighter yet heavy with confusion. I was determined not to let her define me. I wanted to be stronger, to rise above this betrayal. Running away to the countryside felt like a good idea at first. I thought it would help me forget my problems, but that was just a lie. I arrived hoping for peace, but the memories of Sarah and her betrayal clung to me like a shadow. Sitting on my aunt's creaky porch, I tried to breathe in the quiet. But all I could think about was how Sarah laughed with Mark right in front of me. Each time I closed my eyes, I saw their smiles. Trust shattered like glass. I felt heavy, like I was dragging a giant rock. "I just wanted to be free," I muttered to myself. But the thoughts of Sarah and Mark kept squeezing my heart. Their engagement buzzed around me like a swarm of angry bees. I wanted to shout, to make them feel the sting of my pain, but running away wouldn't change anything. I knew I couldn't hide forever. Sooner or later, I'd have to face the truth. "You can't keep running," I told myself. "You need to take back your life." The countryside was pretty, but it wouldn't protect me from what I'd have to confront. It was time to stop being a coward and start standing up for myself. Suddenly, I heard a voice behind me. It was my aunt. "You okay, honey?" she asked, her eyes wide with concern. "No," I snapped. "I'm not okay. Sarah betrayed me, and I don't know how to deal with it." She sighed. "You can't let her win. You need to fight back." Her words hit me hard. I realized she was right. It was time to stop being sad and start being strong. I wiped my tears and stood up. "You're right. I'm done running. It's time to face them." The weight on my shoulders felt lighter. I was ready to reclaim my power and show them I was stronger than their lies. Even though I still felt the sting of betrayal, I found some comfort in nature. Each morning, I dashed out for long walks in the countryside. The trees seemed to whisper secrets, and the fresh air lightened my heart. I discovered that nature could actually help me heal. I breathed in deeply, and with each breath, my heartache eased just a bit. I focused on the rustling leaves and birds chirping. These sounds grounded me. For the first time, I could hear my own thoughts, without Sarah's voice haunting me. Each step away from my old life felt like a step toward freedom. I noticed the rough bark, the bright flowers, and the endless sky. It all filled me with a sense of peace. Nature became my escape. I watched the sun dip behind the hills, turning the sky fiery orange and soft pink. In those moments, I felt like I could finally breathe. I realized I could heal without anyone else. The outdoors reminded me that life moves on, even when it hurts. I learned that Sarah's betrayal didn't define me. I was tougher than I knew. Nature showed me that even after heartbreak, beauty still exists. It became my sanctuary, and I embraced it completely. One day, as I walked, I spotted Sarah in the distance. My heart raced. "What are you doing here?" I shouted, anger bubbling up inside me. She approached, eyes downcast. "I wanted to talk." "Talk? You mean manipulate," I shot back, fists clenched. I made a mistake, she pleaded. Please, listen. But I was done listening. I turned away, feeling the weight of her betrayal lift with each step I took. After everything with Sarah, I thought I'd never trust anyone again. But then came Jake. He was different. When I talked, he actually listened. No judgment, just warmth. I shared my story about Sarah, and it felt like a heavy backpack was lifted off my shoulders. Jake didn't turn away from my pain. He sat with it, and it felt good. Our friendship grew fast. We spent evenings on the porch, laughing and sharing our dreams. For the first time in ages, I felt a flicker of hope. I wasn't stuck in the shadows of betrayal anymore. I was moving forward, step by step. I realized new friendships could help heal a broken heart. Each chat with Jake made me see that I could trust again. Maybe not everyone would hurt me like Sarah did. I was slowly getting my happiness back, and it felt powerful. Hey, you know what? Jake said one night, his eyes bright. You deserve better than what Sarah gave you. His words struck a chord. I know, I replied, a smile creeping on my face. I'm ready for something new. New friends can be a lifeline when you're battling heartache. I learned it was okay to let people in, even after being hurt. I still had scars, but I was ready to embrace the future. I wanted to make new memories, build fresh bonds, and finally close the door on Sarah's betrayal. Let's make a pact, Jake suggested, leaning closer. No more looking back, only forward. Deal, I said, feeling the excitement bubble inside me. I was ready for whatever came next. As I tried to enjoy my new friendship with Jake, the anger I felt towards Sarah kept sneaking in. I wanted to have fun with Jake. He was cool and made me laugh, but every laugh reminded me of how Sarah had betrayed me. It was like I was caught in a sticky mess of trust issues, all thanks to her choices. Every time I hung out with Jake, a wave of guilt washed over me. He didn't deserve to be tangled up in my drama. But her fake smile kept flashing in my mind, and it hurt. Could I ever trust anyone again? What if Jake was just another person who'd let me down? That thought twisted my stomach. I replayed our last fight over and over. How could you do this to me? I'd yelled. I could still see her tears. It was so painful. How could someone I trusted so much just turn away? That betrayal made me feel so stupid, and I hated it. It felt like a heavy rock was sitting on my chest. Watching. Jake's laugh made me realize I'd to deal with these feelings. Could I really let go of my anger, or would it always hang over our friendship like a dark cloud? I wanted to be free from it, but the hurt was still fresh. The buzz in town felt like a swarm of angry bees. I couldn't escape it. Everywhere I went, I heard whispers about me and Sarah. People were spreading wild rumors, each one crazier than the last. It hurt so much, like a sharp sting that made me question who I could trust. Friends, I thought I'd started to look at me differently. Their eyes were filled with pity or curiosity, making me feel naked and exposed. Sarah's choices built a wall between us, and suddenly I felt like an outsider. I'd catch snippets of conversations, hushed and sneaky, about our friendship. It made my heart sink. I can't believe she'd do that, I overheard one girl whisper. I wanted to shout back, "You don't know anything." But I stayed silent, feeling the weight of their judgments on my shoulders. The pain from the gossip was hard to breathe through. I started to wonder if anyone cared about the truth at all. Were they just enjoying the drama? I felt desperate and alone, like a puppet on strings, dancing in a play I didn't want to be in. Friends who used to be close now felt far away, their laughter echoing like ghosts. I stood there, feeling lost in a storm of betrayal. Why did you let this happen? I wanted to scream at Sarah. But instead, I just stared at the ground, feeling the world shift around me. Then, one day, I saw Sarah. She looked different, like she didn't care. "What's wrong?" she asked, her voice cold. I felt anger bubbling up. "You know what's wrong. You ruined everything," I shot back, my heart racing. She smirked. "Maybe it's time to let go." Those words cut deep. I realized then that I was tangled in a web of toxic love and manipulation. My heart raced as I turned to walk away, grappling with the heartbreak of it all. I'd to find my way out, but the shadows of betrayal loomed large. I stood outside the cafe, my heart racing. Why was I waiting? I'd to confront Sarah. Betrayal felt like a weight on my chest, and I wanted to scream. But I knew I needed a plan. I couldn't let her twist my words like last time. Should I ask her a question or just tell her the truth? No, I'd to be direct. I couldn't let her control me again. I took a deep breath, ready to fight for my dignity. I pushed the door open, and the bell jingled. Sarah looked up, her face pale with guilt. I felt a rush of power. This was my moment. "Sarah, we need to talk," I said, my voice steady. She looked nervous, her heart racing like mine. This was it, the moment I'd been dreading, but knew I'd to face. I needed answers. Our friendship was in pieces, and I was ready to pick them up. "Did you really think I wouldn't find out?" I continued, my words sharp. Her eyes widened, and I could see her panic. "You lied to me! How could you?" "I didn't mean to hurt you," she stammered, but I wasn't buying it. I stepped closer, determination burning inside me. "No more excuses. I deserve the truth." The cafe felt like it was closing in on us. People stared, but I didn't care. I was reclaiming my life. Was it worth it? The lies, the secrets? What did you get out of it? She gulped, her eyes darting away. I was scared. I thought you'd leave me. "Leave you?" I shot back. "You already pushed me away. You'd a choice." "Sarah!" Silence fell between us, thick and heavy. I could see her struggling. I wanted to feel sorry for her, but all I felt was anger. I was done being manipulated. "Give me one good reason why I shouldn't walk away right now," I said, daring her to speak. I was ready to walk out of her life for good if I'd to. The ball was in her court now. How could Sarah have spun such a tangled web of lies? I felt like I was drowning in betrayal. Each secret she hid from me cut deeper than the last. Every moment we shared now felt ruined. I thought we were best friends, but she was living a double life. When I confronted her, I demanded the truth. "Why did you choose to lie?" I asked, my voice shaking with anger. Her excuses were weak, like she was trying to convince both of us that everything would be fine. But it wasn't. I felt sick knowing my trust had been shattered. "I didn't want to hurt you," Sarah said, her eyes darting away. But deep down, I knew she was only thinking of herself. She believed she could juggle both me and Mark without facing any fallout. It made me furious. With each lie she revealed, my heart broke a little more. "I can't believe you thought this would work," I yelled, frustration boiling over. Confronting the lies was necessary, but it didn't help the pain. I wanted to scream, cry, and let her know just how much she hurt me. But instead, I turned and walked away. I couldn't stay stuck in a friendship built on deceit. It was time to take back my life and heal far away from her lies. I'd to choose myself, even if it meant leaving someone I once loved deeply. I thought I was done with Sarah. I really did. But fate had other ideas. One afternoon, while I was at the local market, I saw her. My heart raced, and I felt a mix of anger and something I didn't want to name, longing. There she was, picking out flowers, her back to me. I froze, debating my next move. I wanted to yell at her, to ask why she'd betrayed me and ruined everything, but my feet felt glued to the ground. What could I even say? I'd spent so much time trying to forget the pain she caused, and now she was here, bringing it all back. Suddenly, she turned around. Our eyes met, and hers widened in surprise. "Lily," she said softly, almost like a whisper. I could see the guilt on her face, and it hit me hard. I wanted to scream, to let out all the hurt she'd caused, but as I looked into her eyes, I noticed something. Regret. I stepped back, realizing this wasn't what I wanted. This was just another reminder of the hurt, the secrets, the lies. I turned away, feeling the need to protect myself. I couldn't let her drag me back into that darkness. Walking away felt like taking back my power, even if it hurt. Each step I took away from her felt heavy but necessary. I'd to move on, no matter how hard it was. I wouldn't let her pull me into her web of manipulation again. This time, I was done. As I turned my back on Sarah, everything changed. I was no longer the hurt one. For so long, I felt stuck in her games, torn between forgiving her and standing up for myself. But now, I realized I'd the power. The tables had flipped. "Think you can just use me?" I snapped, glaring at her. "I won't let you play with my heart. Anymore!" Sarah's eyes widened. I could see the surprise and a hint of fear. She thought she could pull the strings without facing the music, but not anymore. Anger surged through me, pushing away the sadness from her lies. I was sick of feeling small because of her choices. Walking away felt like a weight lifting off my shoulders. I didn't need to be torn between sticking by her and keeping my self-respect. I was taking charge of my life, stepping out of the dark shadows cast by her betrayal. "I deserve better than this," I shouted back at her, my voice steady. "No more games, Sarah. I'm done." I could finally see the path ahead. I didn't want to be a pawn in her twisted game anymore. I was ready to cut ties with both Sarah and Mark, leaving their mess behind. The cycle of power struggles was over. I was free, ready to forge my own way. "Goodbye, Sarah," I said firmly, feeling empowered as I walked away. No more hurt, no more confusion, just me, taking control of my future. Every part of me screamed to stand my ground. I faced Sarah and Mark, feeling the heavy weight of betrayal, pressing down on my chest. My mind raced with trust issues. I couldn't pretend anymore. Their lies had shattered my hopes for our friendship. It was time to set some boundaries to protect myself from more pain. Standing there, I realized how betrayal twisted my healing. I'd to dig deep and remember my worth. I deserved better than broken promises. Forgiveness seemed far away, and I couldn't rush into it. I needed closure, a chance to take back my power. "Why did you do this?" I demanded, my voice steady but filled with hurt. Sarah's eyes filled with tears, begging for understanding. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she cried. Loyalty fought with my anger. How could I stay loyal to someone who'd betrayed me? My heart felt like it was breaking, but clarity washed over me. I wouldn't let her actions control my feelings. "I can't do this anymore," I said firmly. I turned to leave, feeling a mix of sadness and strength. I was stepping toward healing. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. I'd to assert my worth and refuse to be a victim of their choices. Deceit felt like a heavy stone in my chest. I didn't understand how much it could hurt until Sarah's lies came crashing down around me. I thought I knew her, trusted her completely. But everything changed when I found out she was hiding a boyfriend from me. It was like a knife stabbing my gut. How could my best friend do this? Every fun moment we shared turned bitter. I kept replaying our times together, looking for clues I missed. I felt lost, like I was in a dark tunnel with no way out. The laughter we'd felt fake now, like a bad joke. The secrets she held felt like poison. I wanted to yell at her, to shake her until she told me why. But I was stuck in a storm of feelings. Was our friendship even real? I wondered. Anger bubbled inside me, mixing with sadness. I felt so alone. I wanted to confront her, to show her how much she hurt me. But deep down, I knew revenge wouldn't fix anything. It would only weigh me down more. So, I took a step back from Sarah and her lies. I realized I'd to let go of the anger. I wanted to find myself again. Trust is like glass. Once it breaks, it's hard to put back together. I needed to protect my heart, even if it meant walking away from someone I thought I knew. "Why, Sarah?" I whispered to myself. "How could you?" I decided it was time to move on. I wouldn't let her deceit control my life anymore. It was time to reclaim my freedom and my happiness. Letting go of my anger was the first step to healing. I realized that holding on to my resentment was like carrying a heavy backpack filled with rocks. I'd to confront my heartbreak directly. It felt like a storm cloud following me everywhere, blocking out all the sunshine. I wanted to scream and cry, but instead, I chose to think. This was my journey of self-discovery, one I never wanted. I grabbed my journal and started writing. Each page became my escape. I spilled my feelings of betrayal and sadness onto the paper. Writing helped me feel lighter, like I was releasing a balloon into the sky. I learned it was okay to feel hurt, but I needed to move forward. I focused on what I wanted from life, not just what I'd lost. I tried new things, met new people, and slowly I found joy again in simple moments. Each day was a fresh start. I didn't forget what Sarah had done, but I refused to let it control me. I practiced self-love by setting clear boundaries and putting myself first. Healing was tough. Some days felt like climbing a mountain, but with each passing moment, I grew stronger. I realized that heartbreak, while painful, could lead to real growth. I stepped out of the shadows of betrayal, ready to embrace life again. My heart was still sore, but it was also tough, and that gave me hope. "Are you really okay?" my friend Jake asked one day, concern in his eyes. "I'm getting there," I replied, determination in my voice. "I won't let this break me." And I meant it. Betrayal hits hard. When my best friend Sarah turned on me, it felt like a punch to the gut. I thought she was my ride or die, but I quickly learned that not everyone is worthy of your trust. "How could you?" I shouted, my heart racing. "I thought we were friends,"